What is up, everybody? Purple and Gold podcast for Thursday, January 22nd. Lot to get to today. LSU did sign their 41st player out of the transfer portal. Ole Miss edge rusher Prince Mcmahon is now a member of LSU's football team. 9 sacks last year, double-digit tackles for loss. He will be a starter on this defense, and he will be hopefully an impact guy and a guy who can help LSU's pass rush without LSU having to blitz and send a bunch of extra people. He joins an edge room that features returnee Gabriel Relaford, who had a shoulder injury last year but was expected to play a lot. Jordan Ross, who was a former 5-star transfer from Tennessee. Jalen Brown, who's a project transfer from South Carolina, but a guy that Sterling Lucas brought with him. Achilles Woods, who is another sort of low-level player trying to step up to a bigger level. And then LSU has quite a few returnees at the edge spot besides Relaford, Dylan Carpenter, and Kalaj Cobbins, Damian Shanklin, who had 2 sacks last year as a freshman. And then, of course, we don't know what 5-star recruit Lamar Brown is going to do yet, but the early word is that he was going to play either some sort of a 3-technique defensive end or some sort of an edge position as well. So LSU should really be in great shape there from a depth perspective and added a tremendous amount of talent to that position. The transfer portal is basically winding down here. We are still on Jordan Seaton watch. So to get everybody caught up, Jordan Seaton, 5-star offensive tackle transfer from Colorado, visited Mississippi State, probably more of a courtesy visit. His old offensive line coach from Colorado is the offensive line coach at State. Then visited Miami on Sunday, visited LSU on Saturday, visited LSU Sunday, Monday, was supposed to go to Eugene, Oregon, did not, stayed in Baton Rouge Monday night. Tuesday morning, he and his uncle, who his uncle is acting as his agent, they flew to Atlanta, not really sure why, but that is where they are posted up. Tuesday night, Lane Kiffin flew there to visit Jordan Seaton. So did Oregon head coach Dan Lanning. Wednesday came and went without any sort of announcement, and as I record this, midday Thursday, we still don't have an announcement. Jordan Seaton would probably need waivers at this point from the academic side of all of these universities, whether it be LSU, Oregon, or Miami. I believe all 3 of those schools, the last day to add classes was either today or has already passed. That would be for him to be eligible to participate in spring practice. I can tell you that on Monday and Tuesday, LSU felt really good about this. They were trying to get him to sign and commit before he left Baton Rouge. That ultimately didn't happen. Multiple reports, Matt Moscona on 3 yesterday, that LSU's chances may be dwindling now with Jordan Seaton, but that there's been a lot of back and forth among all 3 schools. So I will editorialize here for a minute, and I will tell you what I think is happening here. What you now have is you have a guy in Jordan Seaton at a position of need, at a position of consequence, and the transfer portal, he's basically the belle of the ball now. There are still thousands of players in the portal, none like him though. So now, whatever money Oregon can muster up, whatever money Miami can muster up after they pay for Darian Mensah, the quarterback from Duke, whatever money LSU's rounding up, keeps going back and forth among all these schools because there's no one else sort of left to pay. There's no one else left out there that you're throwing big NIL money at. So I think it's been a lot of back and forth. I think, and Matt Moscona and some others have reported this, Jordan Seaton wanted to be at LSU. This feels a little bit like his uncle is really making this out to be a highest bidder situation. Lane Kiffin and LSU's staff have been relentless in their pursuit of Jordan Seaton. If they do not land Jordan Seaton, It won't be because of lack of funds. It won't be because of lack of effort. It'll be just because someone else offered a better package and they took it, or maybe even at some point you might just have to dive out if you think it's going to be too cumbersome relative to your locker room, the rest of the team, etc. I don't think LSU is going to dive out. I don't think they're going to duck out. I don't think they're going to back down. I think Jordan Seaton makes LSU an instant playoff contender. Lane Kiffin knows that. The offensive staff knows that. The offensive line coaches know that. So LSU will pursue this thing as far as they can pursue it, and we'll see if and when a decision is made. You would think a decision would be made today. We don't know that. One other thing I wanted to get to today before we get out of here, Verge Osberry, LSU's athletic director, has done a pair of wide-ranging interviews lately, one with The Advocate and one with Jacques Doucet from Baton Rouge Television. And basically, in regards to Matt McMahon, he has stated that the goal before the year was to make the NCAA tournament. And we all recognize the injury to DJ Thomas. We all recognize that he missed the first 5 SEC games, and we recognize what a painful experience that was. I fully expect LSU to lose at Arkansas on Saturday night. That would make them 1-6 in the SEC. They would probably have to go 8-3 the rest of the way to get back to 9-9 in the league to have a chance at making the NCAA tournament. I'll leave that up to you to decide how reasonable or likely you think that might be. I can tell you that the early chatter, and this is just chatter, is centered around Will Wade. And if LSU made a move on Matt McMahon, which Verge Osberry has stated they will not do that in the middle of the season, would Will Wade want to come back to LSU? Would LSU target Will Wade? I will just tell you this. Dr. Roos, who is LSU's president, obviously was the president at McNeese, hired Will Wade. Obviously, Scott Woodward, who fired Will Wade, Stephanie Rempe, who was one of the associate athletic directors then, several other people in the athletic department are no longer here. Is there room for a Will Wade LSU reunion? The short answer is yes. It would be based on the fact of, would Will Wade leave NC State after just one season? Does Will Wade view NC State as a better job than LSU? Does Will Wade want to live in North Carolina? Did he love his time here in Louisiana? Does his family want to come back to Louisiana? I can't answer those questions. We'll have plenty of time to dive into that. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and set the stage, because I do believe LSU basketball probably is going to be in a rough patch here in February and March. And so that'll be something that we'll keep an eye on. Lady Tigers tonight at Reed Arena in College Station to play Texas A&M. They've really turned it around. Won 3 straight after the 0-2 start. Big favorites tonight at Texas A&M, 8 p.m. tonight, Central Time. So we'll get you out of here on that. As always, like, subscribe, share. If you're watching this on social media, interact. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment. And we'll be back with anything breaking on Jordan Seaton, and we'll be back to break down the rest of LSU's football roster. We'll start getting into some baseball stuff next week. As always, be good to one another, and always, 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 go Tigers.